how can I get readers to come from my book over to my website? Now, I had been asked this question the other day by one of my viewers, and although they didn't explain why they wanted that to happen, I presume they were trying to get that reader over to the website because they were trying to get them onto an email list. They were trying to get them to opt in so that in the future, if they have new books coming out, they can market to them again. They can simply send an email off to them and they can advertise their new book or make them aware of what's happening in the future, with the blog or whatever it is they were looking to do. So that's something you should seriously think about if you are a blogger or a writer or some kind of content creator, is that having an email list is one of the most valuable assets you can have. You can always take it with you. Again, as I said in some videos before, you never know if some platform at any stage could pull the rug out from under you. You could be taken off Facebook, you could be taken off Twitter, you could be banned from Amazon, and then you've no way of getting back in front of those readers and customers. So keep that in mind if you aren't building an email list. It's something you should start probably years ago, but the next best time, like planting that tree, is right now today. So think about doing that. But I can understand how this person was having difficulties, getting somebody to leave a book and then come over to a website. Now, while it's easy with maybe somebody who's maybe reading a Kindle book, because it's an electronic device, it's probably connected to the internet. It's only a matter of clicking on a link and they go directly over to your site, and then they can see whatever you're giving away or whatever. So that is one easy thing about the Kindle, or one benefit about people reading Kindle books, is they're probably already connected to the internet. But if you have maybe a paperback book, it is a little bit harder. You can't get somebody to click on a link in a paperback book and get them to come directly over to your website. So in that case, somebody has to put in a little bit of effort. They have to put that book down. They probably have to turn on their laptop or their smartphone or something like that. They have to type a domain name into it. So there's more effort going on that way. So to get somebody to come from a paperback book over to your website is probably a little bit harder than a Kindle book, but it's not impossible to do. So how can you get people to come over to your website? Well, what you can do is you can make them feel like they're part of an exclusive club. Now, because they have bought your book, what you can do is set up something on your website that is exclusive to the readers of that book only. Now, it would depend on what your book was about. If your book was non-fiction, if it was something like maybe you were teaching somebody how to, get better at social media or losing weight or something like that, what you can do is you can create some additional content and you can have it over on your website. So when somebody comes to the end of your book, although they might have learned a lot of things, there might have been some part in your book that you couldn't explain well enough through text and images. It's probably something that you would need to show somebody through video, because you could walk them through step by step and you could point out the mistakes that they could make, and you could make sure that they knew the process correctly. So what you can do if you have something like that in your training that you probably can't explain well in the book, why not do a video? Why not do maybe like where you just fire up your laptop, have some kind of screen capture software, and do a kind of over the shoulder video where you are walking that person through all the steps that they need to do to follow the process exactly like you've explained in the book, but highlighting maybe some of the mistakes or some of the things that you're not able to explain properly through text and images in the book, and create a series of videos and then put them behind an opt-in box. So what I mean by an opt-in box is, you've probably seen these before. You come on to a page like a landing page, but it's a solitary page that is kind of separate from the website, and it's asking for your email address to get inside to find all the goodies that are advertised on that page. So if you were looking to get that person's email address, why not create a series of training videos that can maybe explain something in the book further? Or maybe you could have, if you've been teaching about that subject for long, you're probably well aware of the biggest mistakes people make, or how beginners get things wrong, or how maybe they are paying a fortune for something when there is something maybe free or cheap on the internet. So if you can, make somebody save a fortune, or if you can save them time from not making mistakes, or if you can teach something better than you could in your book. Now, you may have done your best in the book, but you know, there's nothing like watching somebody on video explain something or work it out step by step in front of you so you know exactly how to do it. You could have all that behind, you know, an opt-in page. So that's one thing you could do to get your reader to go from your book over to your website, would to create some exclusive training content that would benefit that person. Again, it could be videos on the biggest mistakes, how to save money, how to get things done faster, on all these different cheats and tricks. So you imagine if you came to the end of the book and, you know, there was some way that you could save money, save time or something like that, of course you would jump at that. Now, that's one thing you could do. Now, maybe you might be writing fiction or something like that. You know, you can't create training videos. So what can you do in that case? Well, what you could do is you could offer maybe an audiobook away as an incentive to get them to join the email list. You could maybe write a short story. You could take maybe one of your characters in your book, you could give them a wee story of their own. Maybe in your fiction book that character, you know, left at the start of the book, they came back later on and they joined in the adventure. But for the majority of the book, that person probably had disappeared. So what you could do is you could have your short story that runs in parallel to your book, but it could explain why that character disappeared on page 20, what they went off to do, what happened to them that nobody else seen in the book, and then you could explain how they came back into the book again. So you could do a short story. Now, if you think, well, you know, I haven't got a great voice for audiobooks, you don't need to do it yourself. You can go to somewhere like Fiverr, you can go to a website like Upwork.com, you can hire a voiceover artist or somebody who narrates audiobooks and you can get them to do it for you. Now, you're probably thinking it's going to cost a fortune, but you'll be surprised nowadays how much or how little some people will charge for their time to maybe narrate a book of yours. So think of something like that if you are in fiction, would be to create maybe a short story, and you could, you know, offer the short story up as text. You know, they simply just give their email address and they can download this PDF document or whatever it is, whatever format you're giving the book in. Or if you wanted to go a little bit more, you could create an audiobook. Now, while it's okay maybe getting the book in PDF, I think if you probably can consider or compare side by side a PDF document or somebody giving an audiobook away, which would you be more inclined to give your email address for? Put yourself in your reader's shoes. That's one thing you should consider as well too, if you are trying to get your reader to leave the book and come over to a website. What would make you come over to a website? What would you give your email address up for? What would you want to know that maybe that person is going to give away? So put yourself in your reader's shoes. What would make you give up their email address? So as I said, if you had a PDF version of the book or if you had an audio version of the book, chances are good probably people will go for the audiobook. Now, that's one thing you could do. If maybe you have maybe a younger audience, maybe you're writing to kids or something like that, could you create something like maybe a kid-friendly joke book? Could you create a puzzle book? Could you create maybe an app or something like that? It's not too hard to create an app nowadays. Now, if you're thinking of maybe going down that line, there is a website that I've used in the past to create apps, and I've turned a few of my books in the past, which were kids' books, into apps. And the website I used is one called Apps Moment or App Moment. It's one of the APP and then Moment, MOMENT. Now, I think it's Apps Moment, but if you don't find the domain name of that, take off the S and just use App Moment. But you will find on that website, it will show you how to create apps. And what I did was I had created an app from one of my kids' books, and I had the storybook at the front part of the app, so somebody could click on that part, they could read the story. But then I took some of the images out of the picture book and I created puzzles with them. So we had one of those pictures where it's divided up into squares, and you have to slide the squares around to, it's kind of like a grid shape, but you have to slide the shapes around or the character around until you finish the picture. And when they did finish the picture, that unlocked a secret bonus so they could go in and they could find something else. So that could be something you could do, would be to create something like an app. Now again, if maybe you are, you know, more in the adult rather than the kids niche, you could do something like that. You could create a sole app that is exclusive to the book. So again, You could have maybe your training videos in that. You could have maybe a couple of podcast episodes. You could have, like I'm doing right here. You could simply just walk around with an iPhone, record a couple of videos where you're just explaining something in those videos, and then lock them all behind that app. And when you have somebody who maybe downloads an app, there is an option that you can do, which is called push notifications. As you're probably well aware, if you download something like Angry Birds or one of those popular apps, you probably are prompted every so often saying, oh, today is an anniversary day, or buy your credits today because they're 50% off, and all those different things. Those are push notifications. So in some of the apps you can actually create push notifications, so you can actually get back in front of that customer or reader again. So not only can you do it through email, but you can actually keep targeting them in their smartphone. So think about that when you are trying to get your reader to go from the book over to the website. How can you make them feel that they are part of an exclusive club, that everybody on the outside isn't going to get their hands on this knowledge, these videos, podcast episodes, and maybe an app, puzzle books, joke books, all those different things. And the more exclusive you can make it, and the more you brag about how exclusive your club is and it's only open to readers, the more you are going to separate yourself from all the other authors who aren't doing that. Because if you had, again, side-by-side comparison, two books on the same topic, but one book had a free training course on the website, maybe had an exclusive app, maybe had joke books, puzzle books, all those different things, and the other book was just simply a book on that topic, you can imagine you would probably be more inclined to buy the one that offered all the bonuses, and you would probably be more inclined to leave that book at the end and go over to that website and sign up or download the app or whatever it is and get on that reader or that author's email list. So again, think, how can you make your bonus or that incentive to leave the book as exclusive as possible? And again, put yourself into your reader's shoes. What would make you leave a book and go over and give your details? And the more you can build up this big great incentive, maybe it could be a valuable opt-in that they are going to give their email address for. The more exclusive you can make it, the more expensive it looks, the more chances you're going to have people coming over to your website. So give that some thought today. If you are struggling or you're trying to come up with ideas on building an email list, do something like that. Try and build some exclusive club that's only between you and that reader. So if you'd like to ask me a question like that person did, you're very welcome to reach out to barryjmcdonald@gmail.com. That's my name. And if you'd like to know more about me and where all this content is going to, you're very welcome to come over to writecom.com. And at the moment we have a great free report, and it's called Words to Wealth. Now in this report I'm going to show you 10 ways how anyone can make money from the keyboard. Now I mean anyone. Unfortunately, some people think if you are going to make money from words, you need to be a fantastic writer. You need to be honing your skill for months and years. But I'm going to show you how easy it is for anyone to make money from their words. I'm going to show you how, even if you only put down a handful of words on a page, how you can make money from them, and how you can even show your kids how to do the same in the future. So if that report sounds intriguing, if you'd like to put it to the test, if you'd like to challenge me, head straight over now to writecom.com. That's writecome.com, and you can download the report there. So as always, thanks for sharing your time again today. Take care and have a great day. Bye bye.